This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Top Down Construction, a local construction company located in Hurricane, West Virginia. A veteran-owned and operated construction company ready to tackle any project. With over 25 years of experience in the industry, they offer a wealth of knowledge from design to completion. Contact them today at 304-415-2203 and let them make your dream a reality. You can also check them out on their Facebook page or call them today at 304-415-2203. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Tonight, I've got Dave Young here with me. Dan Hall's having some internet connection and his internet's down, so it's just me and Dave hanging out this evening. How you doing, Dave?
Doing awesome, man. Happy to be on here with you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Good times, good times. So we just wanted to come on tonight. We don't have a guest this evening, so we're just going to kind of, shoot the bull for a little bit and talk about some things going on in the hunting world and talk about a couple funny stories here we've had happen to us in the past couple days. So I'll let Dave get onto that here in a little bit. But I was just reading over some things the other day, and I brought this up a little bit ago. Told Dave, I said, "Man, we need to talk about this." I was like, "So there's this guy. This is an article that was put out from Deer and Deer Hunting magazine, deeranddeerhunting.com." And it talks about a hunter who shoots a buck with the help of an emu companion. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to read this story. So I get into it and I start reading, and, this guy's sitting in the woods in his stand, and he's got this rustling in the brush, and he's thinking, what is it? A doe, a buck, a nice shooter buck coming in. And this freaking emu pops out. Across the fence, and this thing stays around for like 5 hours, and this guy has a little shooter buck come in, like a little 5-point, I think it was, and it was a small buck. It wasn't a big buck. And he thought, well, this emu is going to mess me up on my hunt. And the buck turns broadside and starts looking at the emu, and he's like, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and take old little Bucky. So he killed little Bucky, and emu was right there with him, helped him. So, but this emu stays at the bottom of his tree stand the whole time he's hunting. And after he shoots this buck, he full dressed it and everything, and puts the buck in the truck, and he's driving down the dirt road. And there's a video on deeranddeerhunting.com. You can see the emu running after his truck.
He's like, I want some tenderloin, bud.
Yeah, I was like, this guy really wanted to go home with him. I mean, he probably should have just adopted him too.
Yeah. Honestly, that emu might have been the best thing that happened to him on that hunt, because that deer probably didn't pay any attention. I mean, I'm saying, he's probably like, hey, if that bird's here, surely there's no threats around.
Well, like you've said before, Dave, I mean, you've been hunting and you've used turkey calls, and your dad used to do that at a young age.
Now, Mike, that
come
is
on.
my hunting secret.
Now, come on. You got to share it now. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, this is me. I am a novice hunter. I would not put myself up there with anybody else that we talk to on here.
Well, Dave, we're all novice hunters. We don't look at it as professional hunters.
Yeah. Well, I'm the least novice of them all, I would say. But anyway, there is one secret that I do, and I have found it works better than anything else, because I have a size 15 foot. And when I come walking through the woods, if an animal doesn't hear me, it's just plain deaf. It has no hearing ability.
It's like, oh, it's Bigfoot coming through the woods.
So when I get in my hunting location, I use a turkey call after I get my leaves out of the way and all that, little branches, twigs, whatever. I use a turkey call immediately. And to me, that signals to the deer, hey, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of noise, but it sounds to me like it's just turkeys.
Yeah.
And
you know, turkeys do that. They scratch around and they pick, and they'll do things like that when they're feeding and stuff when they're walking through the woods, you know?
yeah, they make a lot of noise.
They do.
And I kid you not, it never fails that I will do that. I'll make a turkey call and I'll see a deer within minutes.
Man, I tell you, I've never even thought about anything like that, but it makes sense because I've been turkey hunting plenty of times, and you'll have deer just walk right in on you. I remember a time, this was, you know, right after me and my brother started the business. We got a YouTube video on it, and there's nothing exciting on the YouTube video. I just named it, you know, Turkey Hunting Nightmare or something like that. So here we are. We got a couple birds down in the bottom. My brother's calling like crazy, and I'm sitting over videotaping this. And, you know, I thought it was the turkey coming up over the ridge because I'd heard something walking. And needless to say, it's a little doe. So this little doe comes walking up over the knoll, you know, from the bottom. And I'm like, oh my God, this hunt's over. You know, this deer
Right.
sees us.
Just
now.
messed your hunt up.
They know,
Yeah.
or this deer knows that we're here, and you know it's going to mess these turkeys up from coming in. And needless to say, that deer got a whiff of something that he didn't like, and she went snorting off down the hillside, and that was, you know, that was it for that day. We had to pack up and go to a different spot. But yeah. So you said your dad used to do that when you was a kid, right? I mean, that's the way he hunted.
He's
as
the
well.
one that taught me to do it.
Yeah, and he's had success with that.
Yeah. I'll tell you an interesting story. We were out. It was pretty deep out in the woods. And you know, he I don't know who he heard it from or if he just got the idea himself. But anyway, he gets out there and, you know, he clears himself off a spot to stand. He usually stands behind a big tree, finds himself a big tree out in the, you know, on the edge of a flat or something.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And so he scrapes it off, and then he hits that turkey call, which, you know, he uses a mouth call. I use a slate call.
Yeah.
But, you know, so he was calling a little bit. And then when he stopped, he heard a whole bunch of just ruckus over the flat on down from him. And he's thinking it must be some turkeys down there. So he starts just, you know, kind of creeping down to the edge of that bench. And when he looks down, there was a herd of deer on that flat. And, you know, in the area where we hunt, there are some big bucks out there. I mean, you see big bucks all the time. And, you know, he said the biggest buck he's ever seen in his life mounted a doe right in front of him. And, you know, so from that day forward, he swears to using a turkey call whenever he's moving through the woods, you know, because, you know, just it covers up what you are, who you are. But, you know, we were actually gun hunting, and I'll kind of rat on him a little bit. Anyway, so he sees this buck, and he said this buck was so big that he just started hyperventilating and couldn't take a shot.
Oh my gosh.
And when I walked up on him, he was leaning against a bank out of breath because of this buck. And I was like, man, are you okay? Like, do I need to call an ambulance or something? But no, he was fine. But anyway, it was crazy.
That's funny.
But yeah, that was the first time he'd ever tried it.
Yes, I mean, going back to the hunting season, so we're in muzzleloader season right now. Muzzleloader season started Monday, so I believe West Virginia has had a pretty good season when it comes to deer hunting. We've talked to several processing places here close to us, and a couple of them have done really well. And then there was one that was down like 300 and some deer this year, so than what he normally has. But I just pulled the numbers here from the West Virginia DNR, and this just come out on let's see here. Well, this was for they haven't done anything. They haven't come out with anything yet for the 2022 season. But last year, this was 2021. This was posted this year in 2022. But Last year, hunters harvested 105,000 white-tailed deer during the rifle, buck firearms, antlerless, muzzleloader, archery, crossbow, and youth seasons, and that includes heritage deer seasons. So I'm kind of anxious to see what the numbers are this year, for the West Virginia DNR puts out. But the total harvest was 1.5% below the 2020 deer harvest of 106,861. So it's not that big of a difference, but they break it down into bucks and does and things like that. 42,143 bucks was harvested last year during buck firearm season. 27,614 antlerless deer during the antlerless firearm hunting season, and 31,319 deer harvested during the urban and regular archery crossbow seasons. And there were 3,569 deer taken in muzzleloader season. 633 with primitive bow or muzzleloader season, in conjunction with the Mountaineer Heritage seasons, what they call it. They do a muzzleloader and the primitive bow, like recurve and stuff like that. There's not very many people that hunt recurve anymore, and I guess from the numbers here, there's not very many people that muzzleloader hunt. So it's kind of crazy, those numbers. So Dave was part of some surveys this year in Jackson County. Yep. And those surveys were done in other counties too, wasn't they, Dave?
Yeah, I believe so. I can't remember for sure. I know about Mason County, maybe Roane. I'm not really sure. I thought it was in the same area of Jackson, so it may have been Roane, or maybe Wood. I'm not sure. But what I experienced whenever I got to the check-in station, which I'd already checked my deer in online, but when we got there was a bit of a line, and they were checking the age of the deer, number one, and then they also wanted to know like the size of antlers that was being produced in specific areas. We had to kind of point on a map where we were hunting, and then they took some measurements. They looked at the teeth. They recorded all that stuff. They took a blood sample. I'm not sure what the blood sample was for. Yeah. But anyway, they took all that information, and I originally thought it was for CWD, the chronic wasting, and they said that no, it had nothing to do with that. So I guess it was just almost like a census of the kind of deer, the type of antlers, that kind of thing, that was being produced in those counties.
Yeah,
So I would assume that next year they'll probably hit some different counties, and they may end up doing it around the state to kind of hit all of it,
Yeah. This was an article put out by Channel 12 News, WBOY, and they were talking about all the counties here. Barber County, Jackson County, Mason County, and Upshur County. So Upshur County was included in that as well. So they say that it was a biological data collection station is what they were calling it. And it was mandatory for those those counties. And that's what I thought was kind of weird. I mean, there wasn't that much media coverage about it. So if you don't know that it's mandatory, then what do you do if you don't take your buck in? You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I learned about it actually after I shot my buck. I shot him and then checked him in. And then my dad's neighbor actually came down the road on a side-by-side, and he was telling us that he had done it that morning. And that was the first day of the season. But if he hadn't stopped by, I wouldn't have known. So
yeah. So they were just.
I think they need to work a little better. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I think it says here that they were measuring physical characteristics and age of the deer at the time of harvest. It was it's basically to manage deer population within West Virginia. But I think there's going to be some legislative changes after the first of the year, and we're going to have Jason Webb on with Charleston Advocates LLC. He's managing member of that company, and he advocates for a lot of hunting regulations and things that have been passed here in West Virginia and surrounding states. So we're going to have him on to get an update on that. So, we just want to kind of get on here tonight and just talk about hunting in general, do some hunting news things, some statistics here for West Virginia, and kind of do a year in review. We have only been doing this now for it's still less than 3 months. I mean, we won't have our 3-month anniversary until the 19th of December, and the 19th will be our last recording until after the first of the year. So it kind of works out really good. That'll put us at our 3-month mark for our first season. So just give us an overview, Dave, of what you thought about this season, about the episodes that we've done, people that we've talked to. I know you haven't been on with everybody, but you've had a part to play in everything. How just kind of start to finish, give us an update on, or kind of your perspective on how things have went, technical issue wise, recording wise, quality wise, different things like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have grown tremendously, just in experience. You can't pay for that.
Yeah, I mean, we come into this thing just wide open. None of us really have any experience in this. I mean, I have experience with computers and editing and things like that, and we both work in industry to where we are on computers all the time. But and Dave, he has the experience when it comes to the production side of things, and he's got a musician or musical degree, however you want to call that, from a local college here in West Virginia. But he has experience in those things, and so that's where he leads us when we doing things that are not supposed to be done, or the wrong things when it comes to the production side. But go ahead, Dave.
Well, I think, you definitely can't pay for experience. It's something you got to put the time in, you got to put the hours in, you've got to take the bumps and the bruises as you go, and just try your best to remember the things you did wrong and improve on them. I think Mike, you've done a great job at that with what you've done with the podcast so far. Our guests from the get-go have just been amazing. I mean, from day one all the way through, I can't say that, the guests have gotten better because they were awesome in the beginning. They've been awesome the whole time. I've had a blast, an absolute blast. And I think that's the thing that the guests love the most is we are real. We're not trying to put something on. We're not trying to be something we're not. This is us. We're going to be real. We're going to be down to earth.
Yeah, down to earth. And that's one thing that we do is during our editing process, we don't take out things that guests say. We've had a couple guests on and they're like, we don't know whether we want to do another podcast because the podcast that we done before wasn't what we thought it was. And, they edited out things that we didn't think that they would take out. This is all, hands on, and it's wide open. We're not going to hold you back from saying what you think and your opinion. That's America. Right. That's what we stand on. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
Freedom of speech and things like that. And just being able to say what you think,
Right.
So just to go,
and if guests, and let me just say real quick too, if guests know that coming in, that we're not going to edit what they say, we're not going to chop it up and make them say something that they didn't say.
Yeah.
We're just going to have a conversation with you, and hold on one second. Had a cat issue there.
No, you're
okay. Good. Sorry about that. But, we're coming real. And it's a conversation, It's a few guys getting together and talking about a hunt, or talking about a fishing trip, or talking about a hike that we had, talking about an outdoor experience we had with our kids. People love that kind of thing because it's real and it hits home. And I think the whole premise of what you're doing with this and what we are doing with this is, it's what families want. They want good, clean entertainment, something they can listen to that's not going to be a cuss word every 5 seconds, and it's going to talk about things that people love.
Yeah, like you're saying, a conversation. We've all been to deer camp, and we kind of surround this and around the outdoors. But our platform to talk about things and stuff is God, family, country, and everything outdoors. So we want to incorporate all that. We don't want to push too much of something or too much of one thing on somebody, or we don't want to really push anything on anybody, really. But we've had guests that we've told them we do a scripture of the day, and you can comment on that if you want, or if you don't want to, that's fine. It's up to you. You have that choice. So, I like the fact that it's a conversation to get on and talk about things that happens on your hunt, things that you learn in the outdoors that maybe somebody else can learn from, failures and successes and things like that. So I just really love the whole aspect of the freestyle conversation.
Yeah, I do too. We're just buddies. We're just hunting buddy. I mean, we might not hunt together a lot, but that's what it feels like on here, Yeah,
and we've hunted a pretty good bit in the past when we've had common areas that we all can go and it be economical. Here in this day and time, it's sometimes you got to drive 45 minutes to get a good hunt in. There's not a lot of private land that you can get people to let you hunt on, and we don't have very many WMAs close by that isn't overwhelmed with people when it comes to opening day for rifle season. That's the biggest hunting day in West Virginia. I think it's the biggest hunting day all over the country, but I think it's crazy how it's like Christmas morning to me. I've said that on a couple of episodes. It's been that way since I was a kid, and I've raised my kid up in it to where he's excited to go the Monday morning, of Thanksgiving week. So,
right.
And I really wish that Kanawha County would bring it back to where the kids get the whole week off. I mean,
it's crazy.
It's so crazy. You're taking time away from these kids that they can spend with their family in the outdoors. Mm-hmm. You just think about all the families in West Virginia that hunt and that use this time during the Thanksgiving holiday to spend time with their kids, and to, kind of be that mentor that kids need. I mean, that's a lacking thing in our country, really. I was going to say state.
Well, if I can speak freely,
go ahead.
I don't know much. I don't know much about with regards to our state in all of this, but it seems to me like across the country, you see more and more of school boards that are trying to parent the kids. They're trying to take over that role, and it's a scary thing.
It is.
I know we don't talk a lot about politics on here, but man, it's like, what? It's my. I should be the one who decides what's good for my kid and what's not good for my kid.
Yeah.
They're my kids. They're not. They don't belong to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not a product of the state. You know what I mean? No, they're an individual that is loved by the parents, is known by the parents, and it seems like they're trying to take more and more of the time of the kids, so they can have more and more of an influence in their lives. And to me, the influence should come from the parents, or if the parents need that, then maybe churches should step up and give some of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know there are a lot of single moms out there who don't have a father figure, but there are churches that have men of God who would love to mentor kids,
really mentor kids. And anyway, I think that what you're saying is totally true. Time with the family is extremely important in the development of a child. And I'm finding that more and more, actually. We homeschool now. And I wouldn't push that off on anyone else. I mean, I think everyone should make their own decision. I think it was a good decision for us. But what I find is the differences in how they learn and ways in which you can use them in a lesson and it helps them to learn. You hear about like huge classrooms, like I know at WVU, I think they have like some classrooms in there that are like auditoriums, basically.
Yeah.
Like our auditorium in high school would have been a classroom at the WVU, and I'm not dogging WVU. They're a great school. But I remember being at Alderson Broaddus, and it's like, I think my largest class was 20 students, and that was, freshman year when people hadn't been weeded out yet of the program.
Yeah.
But by the end, I had like 5 people, I think, in my degree that actually graduated with me, out of those 20. So it was a huge, attrition of just, but what I noticed was, in a small setting like that, man, I mean, you just, it's a totally different atmosphere.
Yeah, it is.
But the time that I get to spend with my kids now, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, like what you were saying, 20 students in a classroom. When it comes to, one-on-one, I think most kids learn better when they have that smaller interaction. And a lot of schools nowadays are doing more group activities to where they can branch those large classrooms out, say like 50 some kids. So they'll do group activities to where they break them up into like 5 and 8 or 10 in a group, and they do those things like that. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. And you have some really good teachers out there. I'm not dogging teachers either. That they a lot of times are, their hands are tied, that they're kind of told what to do as well. So it kind of goes from the top down. But I tell you what, I've had some great teachers in public school that just really cared about the kids, really cared about their education, jumped in there and gave the extra time. But I will say, that family time, Mike, like what you're talking about, getting out in the woods with your kids, taking walks with them, just find the time to do something with your kid today or tomorrow and make a change, make a memory.
That's one thing that I really love about our state here in West Virginia. They're an advocate for the outdoors, and we have plenty of ads when it comes to our state parks and things like that specifically talk about getting your kids in the outdoors, get your family in the outdoors, take them camping, different things like that. So it's one of the things I really love about our state, that we are very keen towards the outdoor industry.
Yes.
Well, Dave, that puts us right into our verse of the day, if you got that ready to go.
I sure do.
This is another thing that we have been blessed to be able to offer and to do in the podcast. And Dave does a great job at this. And there's been some times that he can't be on, and that we've, either pre-recorded them or post-recorded them, and we put them in there, and it flows right along with what we're talking about. So it's awesome, and God works in amazing ways.
Yes, he sure does. So tonight, our verse of the day is Isaiah 41, verse 10. And I'm going to actually read this out of the God's Word translation. It's pretty awesome. He says, "Don't be afraid, because I am with you. Don't be intimidated. I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will support you with my victorious right hand." And I think that's amazing. it's kind of like what we were talking about before. I don't know, for some reason, single parents are on my heart tonight. And, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take that time, be vulnerable in front of your kids. Take your kids, spend time with them, get outside with them. They may bucket at first, but you're going to make memories with them that they're going to keep with them for the rest of their lives. Don't be afraid to do those things, to be that hero. He says, because I am with you. Who's with you? God, Almighty God is with you. If you can get that, if you can see that in your imagination, see the fact that God's with you, no matter what you're doing. How can you be afraid if he's with you? It's like my kids. My kids have the idea that if I'm with them, they're safe. They're totally safe. They're not going to be afraid. Because Daddy's here. And Daddy going to hurt somebody if something tries to hurt me. And that's the way our Heavenly Father is. He wants to protect you. All good things come from the Father of lights. That's what the Word says. The evil, the bad in the world, that's coming from the enemy. That's coming from the devil. But if you can get that through your head, he is with me no matter what I'm in, no matter what trouble I'm in, no matter what my circumstances are. If you can just get it, see it, get it in your imagination, he is with me everywhere. It'll make fear leave.
Yeah. And that's good. You mentioned about the single families and stuff like that. This is a statistic done by the United States Census Bureau. Almost a quarter of the U.S. children under the age of 18 live with one parent and no other adults. That's 23%. More than 3 times the share of children around the world who do so is 7%. So in comparison, 3% of children in China, 4% of children in Nigeria, and 5% of children in India live in single-parent households. In neighboring Canada, the share is 15%. So those are pretty big numbers there. 130 countries and territories show that the U.S. has the world's highest rate of children living with a single-parent household.
Wow. Man. And my heart goes out to them, man. They have a tough go of things, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The Lord said true religion, undefiled, is to take care of the widows and the orphans.
Yep.
I mean, how much more clear can he be?
Mm-hmm.
It's our job to help one another, to hold one another up, to pray for one another. But man, single parent, I mean, just think about it. Like, I don't have that. I don't have any of those kind of memories. My parents were together.
Yeah, I'm thankful and blessed not to have them as well. I still have both parents that are still married, and they've been married 58 years. So
wow,
I was blessed to be able to be raised in that setting. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm extremely thankful.
Well, we're going to take a break real quick. We have not been doing this in episodes for this season. We've been playing ads and things like that at the beginning and the end, but since we didn't have a guest this evening, we're going to throw in an extra ad for some of our great partners, and we'll be right back after this break. This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Will Jewelry and Loan. When you need cash and you need it fast, check out Will Jewelry and Loan. Come on in with your jewelry, firearms, electronics, tools, lawn equipment, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, and even four-wheelers. They will beat any competitor's loan amount, and that's a fact. Will Jewelry and Loan guarantees faster and more cash for your loan than any other company in the area. They have your cash you need fast. Check them out today on their Facebook page or give them a call at 304-768-5101. Stop in and talk with them at 5523 McCorkle Avenue, Southwest, South Charleston, West Virginia. Will Jewelry and Loan, 304-768-5101. All right, guys, we're back on the limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. After a little break there, we wanted to give our partners and sponsors there extra ad for this last part of the year. So we've normally been doing commercials at the beginning and the end. We were doing them about every 8 to 10 minutes on episodes, and we were not getting good reviews back from our listeners, so we stopped doing that. So, if you're listening to our podcast and you hear something, or you think that we should be talking about some other things that are included with our platform there, something that we've missed that you'd like to hear us talk about, email me, Mike at nature'svoicegamecalls.com, or you can get a hold of us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. And just let us know. We're still in search of plenty of veterans that we want to do a salute to valor for. We do that on every podcast, and we've been successful in meeting that goal in every podcast, I'm pretty sure, this year, in saluting a veteran or somebody that's still active in the military. So that's a big thing, part of our country that we want to do. So if you have people that you would like to hear honored on the show, email us, like I said, there, Mike at nature'svoicegamecalls.com, or you can get on our website, or you can get on our Facebook page and send us some private message through there. So just want to go over some statistics real quick. Like I said, we've only been doing this since September the 19th, so we're going to be right at 3 months in 5 days. So within that 90-day period, we have, hold on just a second. Sorry, had to cough there. My sinuses and stuff is just going crazy. I know there's a lot of people dealing with things. So I was watching I'm on a sidetrack here for a little bit. I always watch The Hunt Chef. He has a live podcast and he does a live show. Hunt Chef, spices and things like that. He gets on and does a cooking thing and uses his spices and stuff and talks about those. And he was on the other night and he's dealing with the flu or, something. But he got on there and he kind of sounded like Barry White because he's got the sore throat. And he had the real deep voice and he was coughing his head off and everybody was like, take you a shot, mix you a little hot toddy up. That'll take care of it. So it was funny, but
I don't know if it takes care of it, but at least it makes it feel better.
Yeah, it definitely makes your throat feel better, man. I've done that plenty of times to where I've had a sore throat to where I couldn't even hardly talk, and you could barely get, words out because your throat's so scratchy, But so to get back to the statistics and how things have been for us, in 90 days, we have had right at 1,100 downloads. And thank you all out there for listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. There's about 20 different outlets that you can listen to us on. So we appreciate everybody that's listened. And let me go in here to a couple other things. Location-wise, we have, throughout all episodes, we have reached over 11 countries, 12 countries, including the U.S., within those 3 months. Within those 3 months, we have reached over 248 cities. So that's a pretty awesome accomplishment, I think, in 30 days. I mean, I really didn't expect that. I really didn't expect to, reach that many cities that fast, but it is what it is, man. And
right.
We're just going to keep growing. So
that's right.
Well, I'm going to go in and talk about the perfect time for us to mention our salute to valor this evening. So our salute to valor this evening is going to be, we don't know much information about this gentleman. We did his grandson on the last podcast. So this is his grandfather, and his name is Jesse Schrader, and he was born in Webster Springs, West Virginia, served in the U.S. Army, and he was honorably discharged. And that's about all we know. But she said that this was coming from his daughter. And she said that, Dad didn't really talk much about the military. And just like Dan has mentioned before, a lot of people in the service don't want or don't expect the recognition. But we do it. as
Right.
you know, as citizens, and just to give the recognition to them for what they've done for us as civilians. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely. True heroes, they never wanted to be heroes. They went out, they stood on a wall with a gun, and they made sure that somebody didn't get killed that day. And to me, man, my heart just goes out to those guys that are out there standing on a wall. And I am extremely thankful for everybody's service, everybody that we've mentioned this year, and everyone, all of you out there that we didn't mention.
Yep.
We are extremely thankful for your service. And we don't just say that as a cliche. We don't just say that because other people say it. It means a lot to me that my kids are in a free country because of people laying
the
down
Army
their
and
lives.
Navy game was just last weekend, and it's one of the best games in the college football season. And it's not because really the game's that good. It's because of the pre and the post things that happen with the flag and the military flyovers and the things like that. I mean, those things give me cold chills, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love my country.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not bad. They've turned it into a bad term. I hear people say, well, that guy's a white nationalist. They're trying to make that a negative term. But to be a nationalist, I mean, Thomas Jefferson was a nationalist. All it means is, I love my country and I want it to do well. And everyone in every other country should love their country and want it to do well. That's a nationalist. And it doesn't mean we're on an island and we don't want to trade with you. We don't want to have any interaction with you. No, but I love my country and I love my fellow countrymen, and I want us to do well, and I want us to remain that shining light on a hill that this nation has been for years.
Yep, very true, Dave. So, Jesse Schrader from Webster Springs, West Virginia, we appreciate your service, sir, in the U.S. Army, and we just want to give that gratitude and thankfulness to you, sir, for your service. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And God bless you, man.
Well, Dave, you going to get to do any muzzleloader hunting this year? Do you even own a muzzleloader?
I do. Excuse me. I actually own a side cap muzzleloader. One of those octagon barrel things, Yeah, what's funny, I really enjoy shooting that gun. I think that, other than my M4, that gun is probably my favorite gun to shoot, which is weird because you can only shoot like once every, couple minutes there. But it's so much fun. I'm pretty accurate. At about 100 yards,
and
I hit a pop can.
Yours is a flintlock, correct?
It's not a flintlock. It's a side.
Well,
it's
I
a
didn't
cap.
mean flintlock. I meant side hammer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a side cap. Yes. Yeah, it's not breech load. It was actually given to me
Awesome.
by my mother-in-law. It was hers, if you can believe it. And she gave it to me. I talked about wanting to go muzzleloader hunting. I've never been muzzleloader hunting. I've had that muzzleloader for probably 10 years. And, I went out, first time I ever went out, just do some research before you go out to the range and try to shoot it. I bought the wrong powder, and someone was like, you need Pyrodex, and gave me the correct powder. But I had the wrong powder the first time I tried to shoot it at the range, and it didn't go off. And I thought, oh, crap, I got a misfire or something. And so I laid that gun down, just waiting for it to go off because, I didn't want to stick my eye down the barrel and that sucker shoot me in the head or something. So anyway, and I ended up pouring water down the barrel to make sure. And then I pulled the bullet, did all that. I cleaned out the barrel really good that evening so it wouldn't rust. Put some boar butter in it and all that. But man, I love shooting that gun. I need to, next year I'm going to get into bow hunting, Mike.
Yes,
you're going to help me with that.
I definitely want to get you started in that.
I might get into muzzleloader as well.
I like the hammer styles, like we were just talking there, the side hammer. I like those
Yeah, me
better than
too.
the inlines. I'm just traditional, you know. I like the traditional hunting. If I could shoot a recurve, I probably need to practice more, but I don't have one, so it's one of the reasons why I don't. But if I was to buy one, I would have to practice plenty long enough to get good at it because it's instinctive, you know, shooting. So
Yes. And do they produce enough? Do they produce enough arrow speed?
oh yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they do,
Yeah,
right?
they
I mean,
do.
people have killed deer with them before.
yeah. I'm
Okay.
not for sure on the exact speed, but I think it's around. You only need about 40 pounds. 40 pounds
Oh wow. Okay.
of
Okay.
pullback
Right.
to do
That's
that.
awesome.
But yeah,
I think that would be a lot of fun to practice that and get good at it.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
you know, in like the heritage seasons that we were talking about earlier here in West Virginia, man, you get people that's like ecstatic over shooting a doe with a recurve because it's so hard, you know? I mean, it's an achievement. It's not like shooting a crossbow where it's like shooting a rifle or even a compound, you know? A compound, it's difficult to shoot, but it's nowhere near a recurve. I mean, you got to, like I said, it's instinctive shooting, and you got to judge your yardage differently and different
Wow.
different things like that. So,
Wow.
but going back to the muzzleloader thing, there, I had an issue with my muzzleloader as well because we had hunted one year and didn't see anything. And usually at the end of the hunt, I'll just go ahead and fire mine off into the ground, you know, 50 yards down into the field somewhere to extract the bullet out of it, you know. And I'd forgot to do that year and didn't even realize until the next hunting season. And I get that thing out and I'm trying to I almost double packed it. I didn't, but because I had stuck my rod down there, because I always just stick my rod down in there just to make sure I have the same clearance that I always have, just to let me know that there's not anything in it, so I don't double, you know,
That's a good idea.
double pack it. And I stuck my rod down in there, and I noticed that there was too much sticking out of the top, and I'm like, this thing's got a freaking bullet in it. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I did not extract this thing by firing it last season at the end of the year. So that bullet sat in there all year, and
Wow.
man, it was such a job to get that thing out. But I finally ended up getting it out, and you know, it still works today. So
Wow, that's nice. You know, you talking about that, I wonder if in the old days when that's the only type of rifle they had, would they keep it loaded on their mantle? You know what I'm saying? I wonder.
I would think that
I mean,
they would.
which I'm sure they used it a lot more than we would use a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
But you know, I just wonder if they kept it loaded on their mantle all the time.
That's a good thing to bring up. You know, I'm sure that they did, and like the Frontier Days is something that I have interest in. I love history, and
Me too.
if there was a part of history that I had to go back and live in, if I had a choice, it would be the Frontier Days. I know that it was a tough time for a lot of people, and there was a lot of disease and famine and things like that, but I really think that would have been a time that I would have wanted to live in, just because of the fact of the hunting and gathering and the different things that you've done for your family, and the way that you bartered and traded and things like that. I just think it would be cool to be part of that era. So, what would be your part in history that you would go back to if you could?
The exact same thing. I was going to say, one of the things I love about that time frame is the idea of not being dependent on any kind of social programs, not being dependent on, the government holding your hand for everything. I like the idea of being self-sufficient. Like even to this day, there was a show I used to watch about Alaska. Where these families were up there and they were kind of roughing it. They were living off grid. That kind of thing really intrigues me. I love
Yeah, I do too.
how they can do that. How they can be self-sufficient And when I say self-sufficient, I don't mean like, without God, well, it's just me.
No.
No, but I
You're
just
meaning
mean
material.
not dependent.
Material self-sufficient.
Yes.
Like living off the land things.
Absolutely.
And that was that show you're talking about, that was The Last Frontier, was it not?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I used to love that show as well. So
And that's what I feel when I'm camping. I know camping, you think like, well, that's not a big. But I mean, when you're out there camping, man, it's like it just, I don't know, especially like if you've ever done primitive camping. That's crazy. Like that, it's rare. I did that as a kid. I don't know that I've ever done that with my kids, just because I didn't want to be out somewhere and not have like a bathhouse or something. But man, I used to primitive camp when I was a kid, and it was like we'd go out in the woods with a freaking tent, and you had a spring, and you had to boil the water. And anyway,
when I talk about deer camp, that was our deer camp. We had a camper. We camped in a camper. But other than that, it was primitive. I mean, we cut our own firewood. We fixed our own food there at the camp. We cooked over the fire. Sometimes we slept out by the fire. We used to do fires in barrels. So sometimes we'd sleep on cots around the barrel. I mean, I remember times that
wow,
we had good 12, 13 inches of snow, and we dug out a place around the barrel where everybody would stand, and we would put our cots around that, and we would sleep outside during that time. I mean, it's such an amazing thing to me to be outside. That's why I love winter. It's amazing to stand outside when it is snowing, and you can just not hear anything whatsoever.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. That is one of the most amazing feelings. I agree with you. That's crazy. I have a memory of when I was a child, and we were camping on my grandfather's land. He had a couple hundred acres. So we go out in the middle of the woods, and we're just, camping, and there was a spring there, like what I was saying. We boiled the water, made Tang, orange Tang. I don't know if anybody remembers Tang. But anyway, and while we were sleeping, I remember waking up in the middle of the night and to a deer blowing outside the tent.
Yeah.
That deer was like, who the crap is in my field? Because there was a small clearing down there. But, man, memories like that, I'm telling you, that's what I was saying earlier, man. Just make memories with your kids.
Definitely.
It's gonna affect them forever.
It's and we talked about this with Alex DeBoard and talk about it outdoors. And it's not about the buck size, the horn size. It's about mounting those memories. And, Alex and them first brought that up, and we give credit to them for that. But, man, it's such a great saying. I mean, it goes right in line with the way that the outdoor heritage should be,
Absolutely.
One of the things, Dave, that I was going to mention to you, you're going to love this. So we're talking about it snowing outside and, it being so quiet. So snow is obviously ice crystals, which have space between them, okay? So that space, that open space in between the ice crystals absorbs the sound waves, creating that serene, quiet thing that happens right after a big snowstorm or right during a snowstorm when it happens. So there was one study that I had found that says that 2 inches of snow can absorb 60% of the sound waves.
Wow.
Is that not crazy?
It's absolutely amazing.
And the lighter and the
Makes total
fluffier
sense, though.
the snow, the better it will be about absorbing sound waves. So if it's a real heavy, wet snow, it's not going to be as quiet as it would be if it was a real dry and fluffy snow. And I've noticed that myself, because I'm not kidding you. When it snows, I will catch myself going outside and just standing in it because I love it.
Wow. Snow is God's recording studio, Mike. Snow is God's recording. I'm going to patent that saying. Snow is God's recording studio. That's his recording foam.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no reverberation. There's no.
Yeah. I mean,
It's pretty amazing.
It's awesome.
It really is amazing when you stand out in it.
Yeah.
And it's like the silence is deafening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I urge you, when you have a big snow, to go outside and just experience that. You know, me and Dave were talking about that today. We'll mention that real quick, and we'll go ahead and get off for this evening. But we were talking about just being in the outdoors and how just being in the outdoors is such a stress reliever, and it's a comforting, calming thing that is it's something that is required of us, in my opinion. I mean, God has given us all these things to have something to alleviate that stress and to,
absolutely,
you know, just to put a damper on those things, to keep those things from influencing your life in bad ways. And
yes.
I think there's more of us that need to take advantage of that.
I'm telling you what, if you deal with hypertension, if you deal with stress, get somewhere where you can take a hike, get out in the woods, do something where there are trees and squirrels and birds around you, and just spend time with your Creator. I promise you, it will cure your ails. It's amazing the feeling that I get when I get out in the woods, and it's just me and Him and what He made. I love that.
Yep, it's awesome.
Some of the best times of my life.
You know, we're not doctors by no means, but
No.
we're telling you these
No.
things by experience.
Absolutely.
You know, I've been in some stressful times in my life, and I have caught myself not doing the things that I should do when it comes to relieving stress. And I'm like,
yeah.
man, I know it's been 4 years. You know, this was a couple years ago, but we've been so busy. You know, just life in general. I mean, life is busy, and it
Yeah.
gets busier as your kids get older.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, man, it has been 4 years since I've actually set foot in a trout stream and waded and trout fished.
Oh, Mike, that's an atrocity, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That was I ended that last year. We went trout fishing. I took Trevor for his first time, so he's getting into the
That's good.
He's getting into the trout
That's
fishing
good.
and wading thing. You know, he's like, "Hey, Dad, I want some waders," and I'm like, "Yes, you want waders? I will go buy them today."
Today. That's right.
Yep. So, but yeah, that's going to do
That's
it
like my
for
kids. I remember.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say. I just remember when my kids came to me and they were like, "Hey, we want fishing poles." I'm like, "Ooh, let's go now."
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You don't want to suppress that. You know, you
No.
want to give in to every time that they want to do those things. So,
Yes.
but that's going to do it for this evening, guys. We just wanted to get on here and do a kind of little year in review for West Virginia hunting season and our podcast as a whole, and you know, just kind of get on here and talk about hunting and God and country and everything outdoors. That's our platform. So be sure to like us on Facebook. Go visit our On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls page there on Facebook. And you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and about 15 other different outlets there to where you can download and subscribe. And we would appreciate that a lot. So we thank everybody for listening, and December the 19th will be our last recording for this year, and then we'll start back over in 2023 for Season 2 after the first of the year. So thanks, everybody, for listening tonight, and I hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Ghost 802, a sports team based in Vermont. Their goal is to promote safe and ethical hunting and to raise the youth to share the same passion for the archery, hunting, and the outdoors as they did growing up. For more information, check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Let them know that you heard about them right here on The Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls.